Peace, beautiful people. On today's video, we're going to go through the process I followed to create this granite-inspired piece. If that's something that you're interested in, then please stay tuned. Here we go. On today's video, what we're really working with is an emphasis on the metallics. I'm working mainly with the folk art metallics paint in this series. And as with all of my videos, I am utilizing the Apple Barrel brand pouring medium on my acrylic paints. So first one you saw was the folk art metallic silver. Here we have our first shade of gold, which is our folk art pure gold metallics. And then we have our folk art metallic antique gold that I'm mixing down now. From there, we're going to go with our basics, our fillers, and that is going to be our vanilla, which is the Apple Barrel brand, just a basic brand, something to use as a contrast. And then we have a little bit more of our Apple Barrel, and that's going to be our matte black. So we are going to use the vanilla and the black in the actual mixture, but primarily we're using them as our dead space filler. As you see here, a bit more vanilla just on the side, and that's going to be utilized to encourage some movement once we get our colors down. So let's get going with our tube cups. So whether you're completely new to the channel or whether you've seen my videos before, one thing I always want to emphasize when it comes to layering your paints for this type of a pour, you always want to be very intentional. Here, I'm using 2 cups and I wanted to create somewhat of a seamless look between them as I put the paints onto the canvas. So I'm making certain that I stay consistent and even on both cups with how I layer my paint. My main focus is going to be getting more layers of my metallics, so my pure gold, my antique gold, as well as the metallic silver, and then mainly utilizing the black and the vanilla to add a bit of contrast or separation in between those colors. For the most part, when it comes to using golds, or honestly any color that's in the same family, I usually will separate them slightly by creating contrast with either a bit more black or a bit of white or vanilla. But on a few of the spots here, I kind of want that transition between my pure and my antique gold, since they are in the same family, but I do want them to have a little bit of a transition. But for the most part, as you're noticing, I am layering the black as well as the vanilla in between most of the portions of the paint where I'm adding the golds in. And again, that just keeps them from blending together completely. So we are utilizing our flip cup and drag technique. It's the same technique that I normally follow when I'm creating my marble style acrylic pours, but this time I'm trying to get a little bit more movement beforehand. And the goal of that is to try to create more of a granite look. You want to make sure, as before, that you utilize that cup once you release your paint to starch your pattern, to create a little bit of movement. The more manipulation that you apply at this phase, the more variation you're going to have when you start to move the paint around. And as I mentioned before, we have 2 cups and we want to try to create a mimic of the effect while not necessarily trying to create the exact same look, but we do want them to flow together. Right here, we are going to begin to use that filler of the vanilla. Again, the main focus of using this is to encourage movement of the paints. Once you pour your paints in that single cup, they do kind of start to move together and mesh together a bit. When you add a little bit of paint on the outside, usually again, something that you can create contrast, either white, vanilla, or black, you're encouraging movement of the paint without forcing it to take over the color scheme that you're going with. So let's get shifted. Just another little bit of a heads up. You will notice that as with all acrylic pours, you are going to lose some of your paint on the side of the canvas. It's just a part of the process. The neutral base that contrasts, in this case the vanilla that I added, will be the majority of what I lose at first, although after a lot of manipulation and a lot of movement of the colors, I will end up getting to the point where I lose some of my primary colors, but that's going to be okay because that will happen mainly as I'm trying to add a bit more variation in the colors, because again, I really want to get as much movement as I can in the colors to create that granite look. And as with any acrylic pour, the more that you tilt and shift and move that canvas, the more those colors will start to move with you, the more that paint shifts, and the more variation you get in your design. So you may notice right now that I'm kind of holding it on this corner for an extended period. It's perfectly fine. When you are creating your form of art, in whatever case, especially with fluid art, you just may not see something that you like just yet. And the great thing about it is, just move it. Here I have a lot of movement, but I'm kind of noticing that there's a little bit too much congestion. So you will see me shift the canvas around more and more on this one just to kind of get those colors to move. And here's where we're going to start to notice a bit more of my main colors starting to fall off that canvas, but that's okay. I'm also going to use my gloved hands a bit more in terms of editing and covering those edges, because I do want to make sure that I'm properly covered there and don't have any white canvas showing through. And here we go. I absolutely love the way that this turned out. So much so that I did a second one in the same colors. But I hope you guys enjoyed this. If you got any comments for me, please let me know. Let me know what you think of this, or let me know what you think about the process. Until the next time, y'all be great.